welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome.
Yeah.
Very welcome. So for those of you watching or just joining us now, so every Monday, 7 o'clock, we go live here at Tropical Nomad, either out in the garden or here in the podcast studio. And it's a beautiful Q&A that we have with an amazing guest or guests. And the idea is inspirational, right? So we get to delve under the bonnet of some amazing people with some amazing minds and ideas and concepts, but a heart-led super soldiers on the light working plane, which you are most certainly. So without further ado, let's get into it. Brother man, so let us know, where you were born and what life was like growing up for you.
A half century ago, so I was born in a small village. It's about 1 hour west from here. My banjar called Jangkahan, which is in Kerambitan Regency. Now that I tell this story, almost seems like how could I survive? In a way. There was no car in my in the village. Only one bicycle and one radio transistor, if you know what I'm saying. And we all live without electricity, and we live bathe in rivers, and really just a simple life in a small village. And every time, in the morning, I always eager to get up, because every afternoon or at the end of the day, we put a trap for the eels. Yeah, so in the morning, as a kid, I always sometimes I cannot sleep at night because, what is the catch for the day, So in the morning, get up, cold or rain, we just go to the rice paddy and pick up all the traps. And really, when I was a kid, going to the rice paddy is like going to the grocery store. You got eels, you got vegetables, you got all the things that you want to cook. And what I also remember when I was a kid is how this community, as you know, in Bali, we live in a community, and a barter system was part of our life. So as a kid, I know who has eggs and who has turmeric, who has salt and everything. So when my mother said, "Oh, we need a salt," I would just go run to the neighbor, "Hey, I know you got salt, How did you know?
Give it a salt.
Give it a salt. or else, So, and then I would go to the neighbors, but before I go, I would ask my mother, "Hey, what should I bring?" Or I know that we have, say, a lot of turmeric. I just grab the turmeric and then go to that neighbors, and then, "Hey, we got turmerics. Let's barter." So that's what the life that I remember, and I just love it.
What we're going to get into soon, and these guys will know, because we've met a little bit, and I love who you are, man. Just a sensational soul, beautiful human being, and we'll get to that in a second. So one of the things, the king of Karamba, I told you before that my favorite area in whole of Bali is Tabanan. Yep. Okay. And the only place where I've met the king and met him 3 or 4 times through a friend called Gil Petersall is Kerambitan. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what an amazing guy. So I met his dad, who was the original king, and then him, and he recently lost his wife, which is terrible, but beautiful man. And I get that real sense of village. Whenever I speak to him, he's very much compelled to act and work in the best interest of the village at large, sure, and the area of Kerambitan at large. And I love that when you see that in your leaders, people that are heart-centered, heartfelt, and want to do the best by the people. Sure. It's just a beautiful thing to feel, to acknowledge and to recognize, Yeah. So then getting back a little bit deeper, because, what I detect within you is a great amount of love for humanity. Right. So then if I was to ask you, where do you think that love for humanity comes from? what would you say, maybe in your background or in your growing up years, is there somewhere that you can relate that back to?
I think just a little bit to continue the story of my kids or my childhood. Probably this is going to answer your question too. Like I said, in Bali we live in a we. It's everything is we. And sometimes when somebody asks me, hey, what is your name? My name is Janur, I'm from. And then we say the name where we from, because we proud of the community that we build. So, oh yeah, Made Janur from Tabanan. Oh, Made Bajra from Gianyar. So you almost, in Bali, name is attached with a place, because place is really important to us. If somebody asks me where you from, I know that I'm from Bali. And then if they ask me, I specifically, is that a word?
Yes.
Yeah. Know that where I was born. So that's kind of like a ground me. And in 1996, I moved to United States for some reason, and it was so much different, really contrast from what I grew up with. And I'm grateful for it because of that contrast. And then I understand that I still remember after 2 years in the United States that I look at Bali from a different perspective, that I almost have this out-of-body experience, that I look at Bali like, wow, what a special place. When I grew up here, I thought was like, ceremony, what ceremony? That's what we do, what is a good, whatever is that people said pretty, that people come here, like, really, And when I moved to outside of Bali, I really see that, and I longing for something that, wow, And where's the humanity coming from? I guess just because we grew up together, we take care of each other, and we understand what the community needs. And again, so I just want to caution you here, Balinese is human too. We have our greediness, we have our needs and wants and jealousy and all of those things. And yeah, because we're human. But we work it out, and we trying to not make too much noise about it. Yeah.
You see, thank you. See, one of the things which I love about you, there are quite a few, but your wife's here, so we're not going to get too deep into that. She's there looking at me, don't you go there, Robbie. One of the things I love about you is that you have this ability to be able to see, two different or more realities, and you touched upon it before about the US and obviously here in Bali. And I mentioned this earlier on, that I got to hang out with a guy called Bob Randall, who was an elder of elders in Australia for the Aboriginal community, but also went to the States, I think on a master's degree. So he really understood the essence of what it meant to be Aboriginal, one of the oldest civilizations in the world, as well as be Western minded, and was able to really bring that together in such a beautiful way that made him one of the most effective people I've ever met, especially in Australia. I see you the same way, right? And and we'll get into some other reasons why later on. But when I ask you, the differences that you were able to recognize between Bali and the rest of the world, like what things come up for you and why?
Let me say this. The world is not just West and East, but, like you said, the Aboriginal and all of this thing. What I can speak about Bali and the West because that's what I experience a lot. I don't want to generalize it then, it's the whole world is like this. I think the big difference is for me is the we and I. The I culture and the we culture. And again, like in Bali, we said what we call ruwa bineda, which is the duality in life. It's like a coin need to have a two side. If there is no night, there is no day. How could you tell the day if there's no night? So same thing, like just because it's not mean like the we word, the we culture is better than I culture. Both of them as a side of the good and the bad and the ugly, just like the movie, if you will. But I think, I always like this idea of a hybrid. Yeah. Let's take the best of the both world and apply that. Like in an I world, which is we're striving for something. Let's go to the top and by any means and all of those things. And then in the we world, let's bring everybody together up. And how really combine this two world. I want to get to the top, but how also bring everybody with me, not just me at the top.
Got it.
Yeah.
And another thing which I love about Bali, and maybe you can explain this because there are people here which are in studio and watching from home, and they don't know the difference, or they don't realize, it's the three, connection to self, connection to the land. And could you explain that for us?
Yeah. Before I continue that, I wanna. My wife is going to have a birthday tomorrow.
Yay. Congratulations.
I love you, hon.
Serious brownie points being made right now. But, man, I love you.
Well, so that's going to be off the hook, so I don't have to take her.
That's right.
I don't have to take her anywhere tomorrow.
You did well. You did well.
I did well. I already announced it to the world, buddy. Anyway, so I love you, hon. What was your question?
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
So the three things that underpin Bali: the culture, the land, the people.
Yeah, a lot. I think it's a lot in a lot of different culture. Like I go to South America, they have three things. Like in Bali, we have what we call one of them we call Trihita Karana. Yeah.
Please say it again.
Trihita Karana. Trihita Karana, which is 3 ways that make us happy. When these 3 things happening, that's what they say. That's what they make it happy. So, the first one is the harmonious connection human to God, and then the harmonious connection human to human, and then the harmonious connection human to the environments. And what's funny about this is when in United States, I met a teacher. His name is Richard Strauss Heckler, which is the one that I have a privilege to study with, which is teach me about somatic. And one thing that he said was, your body cannot lie, or put it in a positive spin, your body telling the truth. My wife know exactly what I'm talking about. Honey, are you happy? Are you angry? No, I'm not. Your body said you're angry. What I'm saying is like this. Actually, there's a lot of wisdom in Bali that can be pragmatic. Let me say just two examples. One of them is your body telling the truth. In Hinduism, when you die, and then you go through this gate, and then in the front of the gate there is God. His name is Sangyang Suratma. So Surat is a note, and then Atma is our soul. So they have the the notes, what we have done in our life.
Wow.
And I heard they have an apps for that now. The God has an apps from
modern
Apple.
technology.
That's what I heard, but I don't know. Well, I guess in a cloud, I guess be right there,
Pretty close to God, right?
Yeah, it's, the storage is unlimited up there. So they said that they have all our thing that we do in life, and they would do like a test, Hey, Janur, have you been to Tropical Nomad before, And my mouth cannot say anything, but my eyes would say like, oh yeah, I see this beautiful man named Robert, So I guess that's what, and I remember this story. I'm telling this story to you because I guess what we do is what we practice. What we do is what we see. What we do is who we are, is what we say, Because all of those events in our life recording in every cell of our body. And then the second one is the one that I just told you about, the Trihita Karana, which is the connection human to God, human to human, and human to the environments. I took the test when I was in school. I got 100, wow, this is great, But I don't really know what that really means, And then through my teacher, Richard Strauss-Hecker, they said, hey, actually in your body there is three physical dimensions. Yeah, and he doesn't say it in what I understand, but what he said like this. This line right here is called dignity line. So this is dignity line, which is your connection human to God. If you want to dignify yourself, you need to look at this line. And Richard always said, look at your 6 o'clock. If you want to be confident, look at your connection human to God, like you are is connection from the earth and the sky. Yeah, and then this one is a connection human to human, like a social domain. Yeah, we hug people like this. I'm really interested in you. I'm closing my line here. And then the third one is the front and the back. The front is your future, and the back is your history. Left and right is your balance. So that's connection human to the environments. And I was just like so ecstatic because, wow, I've been memorizing all of this wisdom, and here you are that put this in a pragmatic way. So it's really been really great to able to see that wisdom can be applied to daily life.
Got it. Beautiful, man. Beautiful. And we'll get on in a minute to the PlasticXchange, but just picking up on what you said, so somatic. Mm-hmm. So there's maybe some people here who don't know what somatic is. So if you could explain what that is and how it's influenced your life. Yeah. As we speak, yeah.
I will explain that. It's going to be $50 on all the bills. I learned it from the West. 50 times 100.
Always a price, baby.
So we'll put it on a bill. Well, somatic is the word somatic has come from Greek word soma, which is body. Yeah, we all have body. And this body is really shape. I mean, the shape of your body, it's according to your history. Just like what I said earlier, all the cell in your body is actually shape your body. Let me say this, to not confuse about, need to be certain kind of muscle or certain kind of beautiness or in a cover magazine and all of that. It's not that, but the way you show up in the world. Look at that three physical dimension of that I say. Some people like this, which is, like this, or walk like this, or I sit over here like this. And when I see person, I'm curious. What is the story? What is shaped them in that way? And arguably, there's two things that we look at in our life: safety and sense of belonging. You know, the way that our body shaped because looking for that two things. Am I safe or am I belong? For example, this is going to be $75 because it's as an example here.
Write those checks, people.
Check, it's okay. It's for rice, baby.
It's going to a good call.
Yeah. Say like I grew up in a family that my father an alcoholic. Just say like that. And my father would come home and then yell or whatever, you know. I would go like make myself small, so and then I can be safe, or I don't say anything so I can belong. You know, if my father would say something, yes, you know, or if I just try to make myself small. And when I do that and I don't get smacked or I don't get kicked, oh, this is working, you know, and then I do that over and over, and it's become who I am. You know, literally, I'm going to walk around like this, or I walk like this, and then I see a police, and I like this because it's an authority. You know, like a father is authority. You know, so I would make myself small, and probably later on in my life, I'm not good in argument because remind me of my father, and I make myself small. You know, that's who I am. And my brother probably they do the opposite. You know, they probably like when my father yell, and then they yell back, and he doesn't get smacked, and then he that's what he's doing. You know, what we call the flight and fight. You know. And that's what they do every time. See whoever, just that's become his way of life. And again, it's none of them. The flight is bad or the fight is good. Just the is. You know, when you are in a pressure situation, that's what we call it conditioned tendency. That's how you condition in your life. You know, in a relationship, in whatever you do in your life. And in a somatic, it's really we cultivating that awareness. Yeah, like mine is flight. Yeah, and every time I have an argument, and then I would just like trying to run away, and my wife would say, "Do not run, you know, stay there. We're gonna talk, you know." And I said, like, okay. That's how I grew up, you know, and I need to stay, and I, have the conversation.
Thank you, brother.
Does that make sense? Or
okay. You know, none of this even it does make sense, but none of it has to. It's just an insight into you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're after, and that's what we're getting. So I appreciate you for being generous with your time and generous with your energy, and being the open vessel for us to have a look in and
sure.
And because see. What happens is that, you know, through your story and through you sharing the way you are, we get an insight into ourselves as well. And that's a beautiful part of this whole entire process. But it takes a willingness to be open in the first place for that to happen, and that's what you're doing, my man. So it's not only the plastic exchange; it's an exchange of love, actually.
Yes, that's what
giving
it is.
and receiving, right?
Yep.
Okay. So on that note, right? I really want to get into the Aikido, but it's calling me the questions first. So now the plastic exchange, right? So to me, you know, like what's been showing up for me recently has been this awareness of just that giving, which most of us don't find difficult to do, giving love, but also receiving love. And in this way, we create this exchange. And it's an exchange of many, many things, and love embodies all, right?
Yeah.
So then, you know, hearing how you came and how you're the one who is doing something amazing for not only the people of Bali, but for humankind, right? Because at the end of the day, where I come from is about humanity and about how can we uplift humanity.
Sure.
And that comes through many different ways.
Yeah.
So now for you, the story of the birth of the plastic exchange, would love to hear. But before you go into that, maybe explain to people what it is and why it's important, and those three things that it touches on, which I think is amazing. Yeah.
Okay, so PlasticXchange is, I think I should start from how it started, and then you will understand how my process thought was end up with this. I remember it was Friday, May 1st, Friday at 8 o'clock at night. At the time, my wife was in United States with my 2 children. They were stuck there because of the pandemic situation. And from the silent day in Bali, which is called Nyepi, and all the way from there, just keep quiet until now, you know. And that night I was, and I've been talking to my wife about how to help, you know, especially my close family in Tabanan. How do we help this? How should we raise money? Should we do this? Should we do that? And then that night I was just like, wow, what should I do? You know, if I just give, I don't want to do that. You know, because it, to me, it's not a dignify the people who's receiving, and then not dignify myself, because I felt like this, hey, look at me, you know, I'll give you rice because you need this, you know. And I always like this phrase that says, inside of the challenge or inside of the problem, there is a solution. You know, and I start thinking about it. What's the problem that we're facing right now? The first one is pandemic, and because of that, people lost a job. Because of that, in Bali at least, you know, the basic need is rice. You know, when people have rice, they have oil and salt, and then they can live. You know, that's how I lived when I was a kid. You know, the second one is the environment. You know, many challenges or problem in the environment. One of them is plastic. Yeah. And then the third one is really, for me, the most important one is when there is a disaster, not just in Bali, but everywhere in the world, what happens is people bring what we call disaster relief. You know, I see one hand on the top and then one hand on the bottom. Yeah, one giving, one receiving. And again, let me say this, there's nothing wrong about giving, and there's nothing wrong about receiving. Yeah, there's nothing wrong about it. I think what happened is that we creating this conditioning of waiting, you know, helpless, or on and on, you know. And again, this is not true. This is my opinion, you know. And I want to bring this hand on the bottom, and a hand on the top is like this. You know, how can be, in Bali we call it Tatwa Masi. Tatwa Masi is you as me, me as you. Ubuntu, yeah.
In African.
Yep. Yeah. So it's like the receiver become a giver, the giver become a receiver. So like yin yang, whatever you want to call this. So, and then I thought to myself, if I give rice, or if they bring a plastic, I will give rice. And I go to my village and I talk to my village leader over there, and I said, you know, hey, you know, I have this idea. What about if everybody in the village, doesn't really matter, you know, old, young, good-looking, not good-looking, bald, long hair, dreadlock, whatever it is, if they bring plastic, I'll give rice, you know. And then that's what they do. And they asked, you know, when do we start? I said tomorrow. And they said like, whoa, you know, yeah, we're not waiting for full moon. We're not waiting for a new moon. Like it's going to be tomorrow. And because for them it's like we need to wait for the good day. Like tomorrow is the good day for plastic. And they bring the plastic, and then they ask me, what is going to be the exchange? And I said, you know, I don't know. And then they come up with the, you know, what about 1 kilo of plastic with 1 kilo of rice? I don't know, let's do it, you know. So in one day, we collected 400 kilo of plastic in my small village, which is only 60 household.
400 kilos.
400 kilos.
Almost half a ton of plastic.
Yep.
In one day for one village.
And I gave away 400 kilo of rice. And 4 million rupiah later.
Wow.
And to me, it's like, it's okay, it's good to my family, cousin, my aunt and all of this thing. But if I'm going to go in this rate, 400 a kilo every day, this is not going to last for another day, And of course, like, oh my God,
Victim of your own success. Sorry, I had to say.
I know. It's several things. I was delighted because it's success, and I was horrified because how much plastic was there. Like, oh my goodness, And I remember I went to the plastic, like I have this 500 or 400 kilo plastic, and I was just like, oh my God, what should I do? Please show me something, And I guess just like a 50 shade of gray, like no plastic created equal, And I look at the plastic. Oh, there's all different kind of plastic. There's one like a sachet, one use plastic, the bags, and then there is a bottle, and then there is a gallon, and there is a bucket. There is like this, And I call my cousin and my nephew and my brother. Hey, I have an idea, Come over here, Can you separate this thing that I saw here? What do you think? Like plastic is over there, and this is over here, and okay, I got it, And I make a criteria, the one that hard to pick, which is the sachet, the straw, anything that hard to pick. I'll give that the highest value, which is no value if you sell that. Yeah, and then the bigger the item, the bigger kilo that need to bring to get 1 point. Yeah, to get 1 kilo plastic. So, and then I talked to my sister because it was run with. This is run in a family. The family ran the whole thing. I talked to my sister. We're gonna change the system. Tomorrow it's gonna be these 4 categories, and this is what it is, and my sister was like, no, we cannot do that. What's gonna people say about us? Like, I don't care. People can say anything. If they're gonna bring the plastic, this is what they're gonna be. And the next day, another 400 kilo, and I was just like, oh my God, thank God I changed the ratio, otherwise I would bankrupt, The restaurant Moxa at Ubud should be closed, at all, just giving the money to the rice. And then I realized, wow, if this much plastic in my village, what about around Bali? If this is work in my village, got to be work in another village. Why not? So, short story long or long story short?
You can go the long story short.
Okay, long story short.
This man can talk. Have you noticed he hasn't even taken a breath? Right? You're kind of there as an interviewer. You're kind of here thinking, okay, in a minute he's going to take a breath, and you're waiting for that breath to be like a polite interruption. No breath.
No.
Right?
Let just me talk.
Take a breath on the way in, and the way he's just like me. I love it. Go on,
let me just interview myself. Man, this is so much fun. got to be fun, man. To share your too. Yeah,
it's got to be fun.
Life's too short. And then I met, I was in Moxa, which is the restaurant that I have in Ubud, was just a perfect place for me to just talk about plastic. People that come, hey, I have a program about plastic. Hey, I have a program about plastic. And people are like, oh, wow, that's great. And I met a guy named Matt, which is just coincidentally, is Matt here or no? No? Okay. So
Matt's watching.
Matt's watching. Okay, Matt, thank you. So he came and he said, wow, I did the same exact program in Boston. Wait a minute, my wife is from Boston, And then we just hit it and all of this thing. And then he said, and I said to him, I want to bring this to different village. And he said, I can help you with that. Wonderful. So and then we start making what we call like probably in quote like a franchise, you know. So how we categorize this, how we gonna do it. If people want to do this, what is the steps, and we make a playbooks, you know, we make a slide. Some people come, oh, I want to make a video of you, and all of those things. Just people so excited, you know. And I think why people get excited is because there are three things, you know, the dignity, prosperity, environment. That's really the mantra of this. The soul of this PlasticXchange is that three.
But here's the thing, that's the soul of you.
Is it again?
That's the soul of you.
Yeah, maybe.
Right?
Oh yes.
Right?
I don't know.
And that's the beauty, right? Because again, as you grew up, right, the way you grew up, again, it's not saying this is the truth, it's just what's coming in.
Yeah.
You know, the way you grew up, the environment you grew up in, the culture, being able to have that US experience, having your wife from Boston, beautiful lady, right, having all of that, and just in the way that you imbibe it, or the way that you, as you mentioned, as a kid, you know, of believing those three things, you know, and guess what, you know, it's what you've done, it's because it's who you are, and it permeates everything that you do. I bet Moxa, your restaurant in Ubud, has got those three things as well. I bet, right? Because that's who you are. That's who I see you to be, which is beautiful, man. It's really cool. And so the question comes up, right? So people that are watching here maybe don't know or have an opinion, right, on what people from Bali are like. And part of the show, the Indonesian Destination Indonesia series, is to show people that we all have our separate stories, which are amazing, and take us to the root of who we are. But at the root of who we are is unity.
Exactly.
Right? And then maybe one week they'll watch somebody who maybe is from Australia and they relate with her because they're Australian. Next week they might watch this beautiful guy from Bali with a bald head and his hair on his chin and his it's the other way around, right? And they watch it and they get a different sense but realize the same thing is true for all of us. You want to be acknowledged, seen, right? Accepted for who we are. And then they don't leave with this idea of what they hear in the media or they hear in the news about what people in Bali are like. And this is part of why we do this, why I love it, because it gives an insight. I'm getting insights every single week, and we haven't even got into Bhinneka Tunggal Ika yet. That's coming, right? We haven't even got into that yet, right? So my question to you, right, is there are many people here in Bali, many different cultures in Bali. Now, why is it that you did this? Because, you know, the PlasticXchange program, your restaurant, who you are as a person, and the Aikido and the somatic and all the rest of that. So what do you think, or why do you think it was you doing this and maybe not someone else?
That's a good question. I think it's I think everybody has their own fire. You know, everybody has their own fire. You have your own fire, you know, who you are. And some people has a fire about programming, you know. Some people has a fire about this. Some people have fire about building businesses. You know, that's their fire. I like community, you know. That's how I grew up. I think just to go back again, how I grew up and all of that. And also, I'm proud of my. Probably just I'm going to say this. I'm proud of my island. You know, I'm proud of my people in Bali, and really the dignity part of this program is like we can do this. You know, we can take care of ourselves. We can clean this island. You know, and then when I say we, I'm not just talking about Balinese, but we, the businesses here, you, the one that live here, we that call this Bali a home, we can do this together. Yeah, I think that's the dignity part, the self-worth we as a human being, that we are not waiting for, you know, who, the government gonna clean up this. I know the government do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of beautiful thing for our, you know, how this country is. And I think this is one thing that I really deeply grew up with, that, you know, we call it gotong royong, which is we can do this together. Yeah, like together we can. Yes, we can. So it's really every time I go to the village, when I talk to the leaders, it's really to really talk about this the dignity aspect of this program, because a lot of people see like, oh yeah, rice for plastic, but that's just the top of the iceberg, and really the bottom here is like the dignity, the prosperity, the environments, the tatwamasi, which is the giver become the receiver become a giver, and we need to do this together. The other day on Friday we talked with a lot of NGO initiative, and I said, really my invitation to them is let's work together. PlasticXchange is not the best. It's not the one. It's not the solution, but one of the solution. One of the thing that we can do if we combine our effort. If we combine our effort, we can join hand. Some people love teaching. I have access to 200 banjar right now. Let's bring the teaching to that banjar. Some people love building a compost. I have 200 banjar, or maybe even more at the end of this year. Let's bring that. But if you ask me to do all of that, I don't have the fire. My fire is this. Talk to people, bridging this east and west. I'm from Bali. I understand how they work, the community and all of those things. And again, so really, whoever that, the people in this right here now, the people out there that hearing this, let's work together. One thing, and I talked to my wife today on a drive down here, is the hard part is to letting it go. To letting it go what we started. Because it's my baby, And let me give you this one example. Can I talk or no?
Yeah,
okay.
I love it when you talk, man.
Just checking.
Appreciate you checking.
The other day I went to this village, and I go there, and sometimes a lot of people do know me, which is I like. And there was a bunch of guys sitting around, and I said, hey, how's PlasticXchange? And one guy was like, wow, it's great. My leader, I don't know where he get the idea, but it's so good. They just bringing plastic, and then they give us rice. This is such a great idea. And I was just like, that's it, do not include me in this, And then one guy's like, that's Pak Janur, the one that started the PlasticXchange. And I was just like, oh, no. This is your banjar, this is you doing it, Me, I'm just a cheerleader on the outside. And that's what I'm proud of. And I realize this is really letting go in action. I feel my little ego, little bit like that, like, oh, okay, Janur, it's okay, your ego is already broken long time ago, so. But it's really, because they're doing it, they, up to date, we probably collected about 126 tons of plastic. Well, we're not just taking plastic now, we take everything. We take all non-organic, We take plastic, we take, hey, thank you for being here. Blue Karma, he's a big supporter. Yeah. Yes, he's like...
well, Alexa from Blue Karma is the reason that we connected.
Yes,
thank you,
exactly. We're not just taking plastic now. We take metal, we take glass, we take anything. We clean the house. Husband, wife, kids that you don't want, bring it to Balibaya. We'll give you rice for it instead of what are you gonna do?
Don't get the wrong impression, guys. We're not running that kind of business here, or are we? I love you, man.
No. Husband is organic, right? Okay.
Not husbands.
Not organic. Not organic. Okay.
Husbands are very organic. So not if they're single, take them. Take the single ones. They don't need them yet.
Yeah. So we collected about 126 tons of stuff.
So look, in a minute you crack me up. In a minute I'm going to ask you a question, and that question, I'm going to give you a little heads up, will be about like people watching here or here or here or here, I always love to ask the question of, like, what is it that you need? Now, let me phrase that in a different way. It's not about, I need this to help me. It's not about that, right? We've discussed dignity. We've discussed that, which is amazing, right? So need, it comes back to just giving and receiving love. And sometimes we don't need anything, but it might be that we need people to work with. And I know you've touched upon this already. So there may be nothing there, but it might stoke something else that you want to say that you haven't said yet. So I'm going to come back to you in about a minute with that question. So up until that time, so one thing which is coming through really strongly at the moment is this idea of and I love that, working together, love it. But one thing that's coming through very strongly, which I've discussed with you and maybe not some people here as well, is that, I see, the world that we're creating right now as a big masterpiece in some way, shape or form, but it's a collective masterpiece. It's not created by one person. It's created by a unity effect, a collective unconscious or a collective conscious, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really matter. But this beautiful masterpiece is broken down into, or composed of, a jigsaw puzzle of many pieces. And we all have a piece. Some of us have more than one. And what makes a piece, what galvanizes, what joins and links those pieces together are three things. So one is that we do what we do best, which you so beautifully described as what you have the fire for.
Exactly.
That's what you do. Don't try to do anything else. That's what you master. That's what you're after, right? So that's number one. Number two, which you've touched upon as well, is this understanding of, let's trust ourselves and one another, because through trusting ourselves, we trust others. It's reflective. And through what I mean specifically is that if I have something, I don't try and keep it to myself. It's my IP. I'm not going to share it with anyone. Yeah. We all know people like that. That is limited by the size of their own container. So it's about sharing to the wider container to make something bigger. And the third one is about, it's a project or an initiative which in some way uplifts humanity. And those three things, so what you have the fire for, I love that, right? What, something being that you trust yourself so you can trust others and you share it to the wider community. And the third thing is that it's something, an initiative, a project, which uplifts humanity in some way, shape or form, because then what is created is a vision, an image, something that's real, which is far greater than the sum of its parts, right? Okay, so now from this perspective in many ways, so I'm asking you, for those people who are watching here, there, and wherever else they're watching from. Now, as Made Janur Yasa, PlasticXchange, and so much more. So if I ask you, what is it that you need, or from a different perspective, how can people contribute to you and what you're doing, what would you say?
The first one is so easy, share it. Share it and make them viral, just like the virus that we having right now. Make them global. Share it. Doesn't cost you money. Just one click away, you have 1,000, 2,000, 1 million followers. Just really spread it out there. That's the first one. The second one is really I'm asking, what is your fire? I'm good at graphic designing, I'm good at social media, I'm good at this, I wanted to give my time, or I'm a video maker, or whoever you are, how can you see that your fire can be joined with my fire and become a bigger fire? And then the last one, if you really, have some leftover from your under the rugs or under some, donation would be great, appreciated, and really just working together. Not just fun. Fun is yes, we need fun to buy rice, and if we work together, we will find a way to work it out.
Got it, my brother. Thank you, my man.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Now, it's not over, by the way. Now, just in case you're wondering, is it over, Robbie? It's not over.
I don't want to be over.
No, it's not over.
They open 24 hours, right?
Yeah, 24 hours. Here, Tropical Nomad open 24 hours. So we have a great initiative called Bali Collective coming up. My brother JP over there inspired the idea, came to me. We bounced it around and it's happening. So look out for that, called Bali Collective, powered by the Tomorrow Group. That's coming later, so watch out for that. But what I want to do is to go to the beautiful in-studio audience here and see if you have any questions. Now remember a few things. This microphone is sitting on the table, so just pick it up. But remember, this doesn't work, this works. So turn it towards your mouth. Yeah, put your hand up, ask the question, and then Janur will answer it.
Or I just made it up, the answer.
Or you meant the answer, either way.
Hi, I have a question. You collect all this plastic, which is really wonderful. Also, what do you do with the plastic?
The best practice in Bali is we just burn it. Nah.
I love her face. Was like, you do what? Disgust, fear, terror. I'm going to get this guy. But he was joking. He was joking.
That's the best practice, you know. No.
No, better put it in the river.
Yeah, or put it in a river. Anyway, so what we do is we separate them because, you know, when I started this PlasticXchange, I didn't understand plastic. And now there is a PET, there is HDPE, LDPE, PE, PEP, all of these things. So I guess there is a different value or different way that people can recycle that. So we separate that and then we compress it, so because it's so light, you know, and we ship it to Java, because we don't have any plastic processing plant yet in Bali. And to be honest, some of those need to go to the landfill just because too brittles, been in on the ground for years. I mean, we're talking about plastic that people bring, you would not believe. You know, in my village, that plastic already dead for 5 years, come alive. You know, because they got rice and they got reward from doing this. And people, I never seen people sad coming to PlasticXchange. I go to PlasticXchange not because I'm going to pick up plastic, but just the joy that I got from the people smiling. You know, I got 1 kilo, I got 2 kilos. You know, just unbelievable. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer. So has anyone else got a question? Feel free to grab it. Okay. Remember to, just bring it around her. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Daria. I'm from Moscow. It's kind of the village in Russia. So the question is, like, what's your ideal image to this project, like 1 year later and then like 10 years later? How it can grow?
Say it again, like what is going to be look like in
yes.
In 1 year?
Yes.
1 year, 10
what
years.
will happen, like, how do you imagine what will happen in 1 year or probably like 10 years later?
I think what I imagine is again, you know, this PlasticXchange not just give rice for plastic, but we do education. You know, we do ask people to separate. We also tell them plastic is not good, but we do it while we doing it, not just blah blah blah. You know, because I said to people, if the brochure and feeling bad about plastic work, it probably worked by now, you know. But what we're doing is really tell people, hey, separate them, you know. The way that we do this PlasticXchange is we call it inward, outward. You know, when they pick up the plastic, I tell them, pick up from your house first. You know, do not think about the ocean. Do not think about the larger. Like, start from your house. Look at your kitchen under this, you know. Grab everything. You know, because say like the can that like this and then got water and what is breed is dengue, blah, 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 bring it. Once you clean your house, the next thing you need to do is have a couple bags and all of that, and then do not let it out from your house. Wait until the events next month and then bring it out. So once you clean it in a house and then you go to your driveway, go to your blah, and then go out. Yeah. So there's 3 leaders in Bali. One is called Klian Dinas, something to do with legal stuff. If you want KTP, like identity, you need to work with this Klian Dinas. Klian Adat, which is the one that something to do with the ceremony. Yeah, and then there is a third one is Subak, which is something to do with the irrigation. So to answer your question, what do I look like? The people gonna separate their plastic. The plastic not gonna go out from their house, stay in the house, until we recycle it and all of that. And then we'll hit the Subak, we hit the Klian Adat, and then if we can talk to them, if they see this is working, 1 year, 10 years from now, my ideal what look like is, let me go back again to my background in somatic. You are what you repeated to do. People said, oh, Balinese used to have this organic stuff in their hand, just throw it, and then now they put the plastic and then they throw it. If that argument was true, what we're doing right now is to have that muscle memory reverse. Now, like this, oh, it's rice. Put it over here, oh, it's rice, oh, it's plastic, it's rice. So we're trying to get that muscle memory to a different memory. My teacher said 100 repetition to just remember the move. If you remember the move like this 100 times, you remember the move. To master it, or to get in your muscle memory 1,000 times. To master it 10,000 times. I don't know, a billion times. How about that? So need to be repetition here. Yeah. And people said to me, oh, you're going to give this rice and people are going to be depending on rice. I don't think so. I think what I'm trying to do here is to break that muscle memory, because if you said plastic is bad, plastic is this, I no value, I'm just going to do this, And now, some of the kids even become an entrepreneur. They pick up the plastic, they got the rice, they go home, Mama, 10,000 rupiah. Hey.
Damn straight. And look, so the environment is something. Could you pass that microphone? Just look. Yeah, cool. Give me 1 second. So. Obviously, the environment is something which is very important to us all, right? No one can deny the importance of it. And there are some incredible people here. Just to name a few, who have we got? Brother JP, we've got Kedar over here, Marcello, Ronnie, and Alexa, and many, many more. So, full disclosure, so I am an ambassador for an incredible project called Seeds. And in a second, Ronnie, I'm going to put you on the spot, not now, but I'm going to give you some moment to get the words right in your head. So I'm going to give Ronnie just a couple of minutes just to let you know. Just to let you know what Seeds is, because Seeds, my brother, is a big piece.
I'm trying to let it go.
In the jigsaw puzzle.
It's my practice, yeah, okay.
And you two, we're going to talk, right? As many other people here will once they hear what he has to say. So we'll get to that in a second. But gentleman with the microphone, over to you. Yeah.
Hello, my name is Alex. I'm from Ryazanets village near the Moscow village in Russia also. And I have a question. You do a great job. And how do you fund your program now? Is it sustainable and money recycling program, or you need some donors?
Yeah, somebody like you that will fund this now. This is like I said, this is not about a profit oriented. I think we've been trained to look at everything with the dollars. Like if the dollar doesn't make sense, don't do it. This is a social program. We include supporting people in need, like for the rice, and then also we're cleaning the environment at the same time. A lot of people, is it sustainable? Might be in the future. For now, it's not, because we need to buy the rice. Meaning like this, just like I explained it earlier, the plastic that's hard to pick, which is no value if you sell it, we give that the highest value, because we want for people to pick that, and also light, and also all over the place, So 3 kilo or 4 kilo of that, they get 1 kilo of rice, which is 800 rupiah, and then they get 10,000 rupiah in returns. So there's a gap there, and I understand this. I know this. This is not a profit and loss kind of in my mind, but this is for the dignity, prosperity, and environments. So where's the funding coming from? I've been giving away about $25,000 US dollars for all of this thing that we're doing, and just people come to me like, hey, I want to give you 10 million rupiah, 15 million, and a lot of people that close to me like, oh, I heard you doing this, great idea, here money, and my wife also like, do you have a different bank account for that? We don't want our money, And I said, honey, don't worry, So I create a separate bank account to just have that money, and I can not worried about it. And in 1 month later, we created a foundation. We are legal, So we do that, and next month we're gonna have the bank account also under the foundation name. So, and again, just from what I started from my village, it just become bigger, and it should become bigger than me, and yes. So really, how I fund it is just funded from the people that see this program is a great program to support. Yes.
Great. So if you pass the microphone to Ronnie over here, yeah. So just with this microphone, brother man, just to your directional. So you got 2 minutes, my brother. Yeah, very important.
Well, amazing stuff. Actually, I just picked up on that statement you said. The dollar doesn't incentivize us to do these things. Well, the dollar was a game that man invented and woman invented. So how about we change the game? How about we have an economy which incentivizes us to regenerate our planet? How about it's community-owned and driven, and what is deemed good for our planet is something that we all decide together. So it's been built. Some incredibly talented people over the last 5 years have built an economy and a new way of incentivizing us in that game, and I can't speak for the community, but I'm pretty convinced that this is exactly in line with what we are trying to incentivize through what we've created together. So you can come to our community and you can get an alliance share, and we're giving out the community is giving out shares of this new economy at the beginning to all the people doing good, and that's exactly what you're doing. And we want to include this economy within the flows that you're talking about. So the economy is called Seeds, by the way. It's also a governance system in terms of how we all work together and exchange value with each other. And yeah, we can now incentivize all of these people to use a currency which rewards them because they're doing good. So, crudely put, you fill your gas card at a gas station, it's going to be free to use, which is better than MasterCard, everyone else, as good as cash. But if you're doing good, it's better than free, because we're going to give you that inflation that gets created. For us, it's very transparent. You can see how it gets created, and we're going to give that inflation out to support the work that you're doing and the work that others are doing along these lines. Because, this myth about scarcity of money, it was man-made, right? We can have sufficiency of capital, and now through digital technologies, we can measure that. So all of this is now doable. Yeah, I love the work you're doing. I actually know a little bit about the Java processing. I've got another project here called the Bali Design Center, where we've just launched, where we're going to take that plastic and make school furniture out of it for kids. So that sheeting, there's a process I know that's in Java. We're going to make sure we bring it here. But we can do one better, actually. It's quite cool, like the innovation, right? But that you can make a stage out of this plastic furniture. You can projection map. It can look like the coolest thing. And then you leave it in the local school. So we can take your plastic and put it all the way through, and we can kickstart a global new economy, and we can fund you. I'll stop.
Very powerful. Very, very powerful, guys. So he's here. For those of you who came, feel free to have a chat to him. Not sure how long you're going to stay, mate, but it's going to be a while, I think. And Janur, there's one guy I was going to introduce you to, so I'm glad he made it.
Yeah.
There's a few other people here, Marcello, definitely Itchy, that I'll be introducing to him as well, and the rest of you here are always welcome. So look, guys, we're going to be wrapping up real soon. What? So I know, brother, but don't worry. You see, look, he's just got started. Look at him. He can't help it. He's like, give me more. I need more.
There's still a lot of story.
Look, you know what? Like, we're going to have you back on the show and do a part 2, because like this, I'd love to get into the Aikido. I love to get into your state of mind. I love the way to get into, how you've overcome challenges, right? Because that's clearly there. And what I see in you is solid, my man. It's this solid bone of inspiration and value that there's a lot more to give. So I definitely want to get you back on here and go deeper into that. So today we went wherever we went, and that was meant to be, and that's fine. But another time I would love to explore that more with you, okay, my brother? So look, as we begin to wrap up, so you're going to close this up, all right, in about a minute's time, after I do this quick intro extra, don't know what that means, but you know what I mean. And just any words that come to your mind, something that maybe you wanted to say but haven't, or something you wanted to say but couldn't, or anything else that comes into your mind, feel free to take the time to say that. And so before I get there, I just want to acknowledge you, my brother, for being an amazing human being.
Thank you.
Right, I've loved having you on the show, and since the moment that Alexa passed your details on, I knew there was something about you that I felt really comfortable with and really wanted to bring out. Some of that has come out tonight. There's a lot more left, for another one. But brother, man, like really from my heart to yours, thank you so much for being you.
Thank you.
And,
same here.
Oh man, and being that piece of the puzzle that you are, and recognizing that fire within you and acting upon it and not being stopped. I permission to swear, I fucking love that. It's really, it's beautiful, man, and it's infectious.
Good thing my mother is not around. So.
I know. We're going to your mother. All right. So next week's show, so we have another, so this is the Destination Indonesia series, right? So that means you're Indonesian, or like last week, maybe you're a couple, and one of you is Indonesian, one of you is maybe expat. So next week is Evie. Evie is from Sabah Bay. So Evie and her mum started Sabah Bay. They're still at the Rains now, Sabah Bay Winery. Evie is amazing, man, and her mum is incredible. Two beautiful human beings disguised as beautiful women. And Evie will be on the show, and we're going to delve deep into the story behind Sabah Bay. But I've spoken to her already a little bit of length, and I know what they're doing for farmers in Indonesia. I know what they're inspired by for Indonesia and the power that they're putting back in the hands of Indonesia. So it's going to be fascinating next week as well. So Evie, if you're watching this, honey, can't wait to have you on the couch over here having this same chat, or a different chat, because there's a different energy every time. So for those of you watching here, feel free to come at a studio audience. You know where we are, you know the time, you know the place. For those of you who can't make it, feel free to watch online, and we'll do a repeat after this. And remember, join the SpeakuP Monday group Facebook page to get insights and all of that. Join the YouTube as well, and subscribe to that. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to hand back to my brother Made Janur Yasa to take us out. And thank you so much love, and thank you so much. All right, over to you.
Really, the message is let's work together, and then keep your fire alive, whatever is that your fire is, and let's join the fire together, and then make a bigger fire for the better. This is my fire. What is yours? Let's bring this together, because the only thing that can work, I always said this, by working together. Yeah, by working together, we will succeed. You know, if I want to run, what is that thing people say? If I want to run fast, I run myself. But if I want to run further, we need to run together. Yeah. So that's what we are trying to do. Like, let's join together. Let's join together, and we can do this.
Love it. Thank you, my man. Round of applause for you, Made, the studio audience. Ichi over here is doing this by himself today, and look forward to seeing you next week. Share this at home, guys. Share it far and wide. Love you. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Okay.